Welcome, folks, to episode 221 of The Morgue, the official CorpseFeed podcast. I am Arturo, Padilla, the guy behind the face, and with me always is Mr. Nick Valdez. Tex, how are you, buddy? How are we doing today?
Howdy, everybody. Howdy, Arturo. We've got a lot to get through, so let's just get right into the coming attractions. We had the big game recently, and we will keep calling it the big game to avoid copyright strikes, just in case. But with the big game, and that meant a lot of new trailers and teasers came out. But so we'll highlight the most substantial of them because Superman dropped like a crypto tease during like the Puppy Bowl and stuff like that, and that's just like it's kind of whack. It's like you missed your chance.
I'm honestly though, before we get into this one, it's a nice little lead in. I'm really surprised they didn't like do even a quick little teaser. With crypto at least, or something like small like that. I think that's a big missed opportunity, especially with the amount of eyes on the TV. But this is why we're talking about the next one, right? Because the Thunderbolts totally dropped their teaser, then go watch the full thing online trailer. And honestly, Tex, dude, I'm hyped for this movie. Honestly, I am excited to see what is gonna happen here. I am really digging the vibe. I'm digging the cast. I like the look of this movie, and I know you feel the same way, right?
Yeah, no, 1,000%. Like, I am very surprised because, like, on paper, Thunderbolts sounded dumb, right? It's like, let's gather a bunch of like second tier, maybe
Suicide Squad.
Not even them, like third tier characters from the movies and shows, right?
Yes.
Like the highest profile one is Bucky, and because he's Sebastian Stan has been in a couple of things, and then Yelena second with Florence Pugh, but like even then it's like this is just a random smattering of people brought together. But now with this trailer that we get like the full idea of what this actually is, like I'm surprised. Like it's not a Guardians of the Galaxy type, thankfully, right? It seems like a completely different.
Thank God.
Yeah, it seems like a completely different kind of team setup. It's clearly that like Elaine, I keep forgetting her name in the MCU. Her whole thing is like, where are the Avengers? There aren't any more Avengers, so we have to make some, right? And so that's not a bad idea. I really like that. Because it's true. This whole time we've been like, well, who's the Avengers lineup? We don't really know it yet. Like we don't really have one yet, right? And so this is smart. And now we're getting teases of like Sentry, but not only Sentry, but like his dark side with the Void and like that cool, like that kind of scary atomic bomb kind of shadow effect, right? Like it's like, ooh. But I think the interesting part of all this is like it's pretty funny that it's they show Taskmaster from Black Widow as like part of this team, but like it's clear that Taskmaster's probably gonna like die off or something and is only in like one scene.
Yeah, because it's the only person we really don't even have a facial recognition with, right?
Yeah.
So that doesn't really help the character's lifespan in this universe.
And if you're gonna kill off a character, like that's the one to do it, right? Because we see all the other ones like in so many other scenes. So
dude, honestly, like, that's the only character I keep forgetting about too, because I confuse Taskmaster with was it Ghost Protocol one, whatever.
Ghost. Yeah, I think her name is actually Ghost.
So I confused them at one point because I was like, oh, that's Ghost with her mask on, and I was like, wait a minute, no, that's a different person. All right,
it's very smart, like logistically smart to just get rid of one of the masked ones because it does make sense. And that's the thing, I did not think this would make sense and look as good as it does. So I'm in. Like I can't believe it, but count me in, man.
I'm honestly though, like it's funny because the characters we see here, we've seen them for quite a bit now with with Marvel in this Marvel universe. You know what I mean? We got Yelena back with in the Black Widow movie, and then we also got her in the Hawkeye show, right? So now we really get to see her kind of stand out. And luckily for them, Florence Pugh has been, blazing her own path through Hollywood. So that really helped out her character um credibility on screen. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I'm hoping they do stuff because we also see Elaine Bennis, all right, which again I also forgot.
that's what I'm saying. I
Like
don't remember her Marvel name. Like
we've
her.
seen her all the way back since what, like Black Panther 2, I think, and even maybe a little
Yes.
before that,
Yeah.
right? So that's how far is Marvel going in terms of like starting shit. You know what I mean? Like, what are
Right.
they doing here? Is Thunderbolts going to actually commence a new phase for Marvel where fans like us can finally get on a bandwagon and be like, hey, these guys are finally telling us a story here. I hope they continue it because after we get Thunderbolts in this Marvel timeline, we have Fantastic Four, which we spoke about on
Right.
the previous show, right? So, um, uh, I understand that Marvel's doing things differently now, right? But they are going to have to kind of show us first, right? Like because right now we're still
Right.
in the mindset of okay, where is this leading to? Is Thunderbolts going to
Yeah.
be a one-off thing, or
Yeah.
is this going to
Because
lead to something else, right?
yeah, like, and we still have like literally as we're recording, we're like a day or so away from Captain America. So like
Yeah.
we still gotta see where that
Yes.
goes,
Exactly. Great
you
point.
know. And it's like we gotta see if that's gonna tie into Thunderbolts in any way. Is are these movies tied together? Because that's the thing, they kind of have to now.
Yeah.
Is Avengers is filming next year, or Avengers is coming out next year, right? Like in 2026. So it's like
Oh
they kind of
shit!
have to,
Already?
yeah. So they kind of have to like figure out what they're, what the
Wow,
plan is.
yes,
'Cause, yeah,
yeah,
because
they have to figure
as
that out.
of right now, we don't have an Avengers team. We don't have like any of that set yet. And you'd figure by this point we'd have something, right? We just have
Wow,
a bunch of
dude.
characters across movies and shows that have never met before. So it's like, okay, I like we yeah, we got to figure out something. This hopefully this leads into something else. You know, we'll figure it out. It's the same for How to Train Your Dragon. We got the newest trailer for How to Train Your Dragon. It's the first full one
Yeah, the full
where we get
trailer, we got a
this.
teaser last time.
Yeah, yeah. And so when this showed during the big game, I was like, yo, it doesn't look great because the dragons themselves looked incredible, which was what you hope for, right? Like you kind of
Yeah,
hope that it's like, yeah, of course they're gonna look great, but the human look didn't like gel with me. I was like, yo, these humans don't look good. But
yeah.
in the actual trailer, I was like, okay, like I don't know if it like took me a second for like my eyes to get adjusted to it or something.
It
Like,
did for me though, to be honest with you, because, like, the humans look like a CG render, like, in a lot
yeah,
of the stuff, especially, like, in one shot in particular where they're on a boat and they're kind of, like, sailing, and I'm like,
yes,
they don't look real,
dude,
and
and it doesn't help that they look exactly like the cartoon
that's
versions, right? And
exactly what I was getting to as well. Yep.
yeah, because it's like we know like this is the Disney method, right? This is the Disney method of like turning your cartoon into a live action thing, and like that's cool and all, but at least the Disney movies went through the effort of like changing the outfits a little,
Yeah, changing the
Like,
outfits, changing the vibe a little bit,
yeah, yeah,
like,
they're
whether
not.
you
It's
like
not a
it
one
or
to
not,
one,
right? Yeah,
right? It's
yeah, exactly. Whether you like it or not, like, they have they made a good point to have a live action version. You know what I mean?
yes,
Like,
yes,
that's like in the live action version of Lion King, they did this nonsense in comparison to the animated one and the Snow White version and the Cinderella and the Beauty and the Beast and all that stuff. So like I do like the fact that they do differentiate well their characters. Like they tried to do like that frame for frame shit back in the day, but like
yeah,
they realized it didn't really work that well. Here though, like this is like confusing to me because like How to Train Your Dragon for DreamWorks, I thought was a great franchise that looked
Yeah.
really, really good on screen, whether it was 3D, on IMAX, on standard. It really excelled in getting those visuals to the highest level where it became the reason why I enjoyed going to see it because I loved the animation of the dragons, the flying, and all that, a dog fighting they do in the air and stuff like that. It really looks great. But like Tex mentioned, like I don't see a difference here. Like why am I seeing the movie again? You know,
Yeah,
like
and
even the
it's
dragons, like even more so for the dragons. Like the dragons look like they're even like a better rendering of their previous version. It's the
right,
same shit,
like
man.
Toothless looks like Toothless,
Just a
just
little
like
crisper, like a little bit more 4K, right? That's
yeah,
it.
and it's like yeah, it's cool and all, and it sucks because like I get the idea, right? It's to keep the franchise fresh. It's to renew that trademark, basically, right? It's to keep the product going. They're probably, we're probably going to get like a How to Train Your Dragon theme park at Universal kind of thing. Like I get it. I on paper, I 100% understand it, and I
Release a fourth
understand
one, dude. That's it.
yeah, like, and I understand the appeal for people who don't watch animated stuff, right? Like people who automatically assume it's all for kids, so they don't watch it. So they're gonna be more inclined to be more interested in the live action version. That's what we saw with Disney, right? But it's just when you see it so one to one, it's just like, all right, man, like you gotta give me something. You gotta give me something different that we didn't see in the original. And I think that's going to be the big hurdle it's going to have to overcome. It's that what do you have to offer other than just being a live action version of the movie, and which were like Arturo said, which were already great looking. So it's like how you gonna, you can't compete visually. Like you can't, like simply can't compete on like maybe fidelity's sake. You can compete
Yeah.
on like the dragons look great, like just in terms of like, yeah, if you go into, I don't even, they don't even have Best Buys anymore, but if you go into a Best Buy and you see How to Train Your Dragon on like the big TVs, you're gonna be like, yo, that looks great, right? But what else you got?
Yeah, I don't get it. This is what studio is this again? This is
This is
DreamWorks, right?
DreamWorks, yeah. So this
Um,
is gonna be something,
I can we get a live action Shrek? Like,
we we might, like, they did a musical,
I mean,
remember?
we're
Like
getting
they
like a Shrek 5, I think, right?
yeah, they're making a Shrek 5, and I mean, we're gonna get a live action Shrek
But you see
eventually.
also
Like
also
that's
you see like at least with Shrek, there's been a good amount of like time between the last movie, right?
yeah, between
Like
4 and
like
5,
in
yeah.
How to Train Your Dragon, um, we had 3 of them, which honestly we never really even saw coming in the first place. Like the first one
Yeah,
was
because
like
the
a
first one was
hit,
so good.
a
Yeah,
surprise. It was a big surprise because it was like, oh, another DreamWorks kids movie, whatever. Let's go
yes,
fucking see it.
yes.
And then I was like, oh, this is actually a pretty well done like movie here. So we got 3 of these things, and now we have a live action one, but the live action one looks exactly like a 4K edition of the first one. So,
Yeah.
like you said, Tex, like what exactly are we doing here? With that said, right? I hope all that stuff is good. But with that said, what are we doing with Jurassic Park, Tex?
Yeah.
Jurassic World Rebirth trailer dropped. Not the trailer, but the teaser dropped during the big
It
game.
dropped during the big game, and then
Oh
the
no, no,
trailer
actually,
came.
no, no.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The actual trailer, like the full trailer, dropped during the big game. But that was the first commercial to actually show during the big game. And
Yes.
what are your thoughts, Tex? What do you think
So
about this one?
okay, that's the thing is I'm not like super experienced in Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
Like I haven't seen 3 or 4. I'll say that straight out. Like I barely remember part 2. So when and like I saw Jurassic World, right? Because that was the big new one. So it's like, all right, let's go see Jurassic World. I saw Jurassic World. I didn't see any of the other ones because it's just I don't know, man. Like Jurassic Park in general, it's just like it was never a big franchise for me. Like dinosaurs are cool and all, but I'm like a big nerd, and so like I love more stuff than dinosaurs. You know what I mean? Like like I'm more into like alien dinosaurs or something. Like, if it's not Godzilla, I'm like, yeah, cool. T-Rexes are like kind of whack in comparison.
It's not a
you know what I mean?
nuclear powered lizard. Count
Yeah,
me
yeah.
out.
Yeah, and like that's the thing. That feels like base nerdy level. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, yeah, dinosaurs, loving dinosaurs, it's cool and all, but that definitely feels like more like, you were real into school kind of nerdydom.
Yeah.
Of like, yeah, I love dinosaurs. Well, you must have loved science when you went to school, and like, cool, man. Yeah, but that's all to say, like. Seeing this trailer, I'm like, yeah, that's cool and all. They got a Rancor in it. It looks like the
At
thing
the
from
end,
the Star
right? What the hell
the
is
Star
that
Wars
thing?
pit.
It's a Rancor.
It definitely looked like the Star Wars pit monster thing. So like,
it's it looks, honestly, in comparison to the previous ones, I as well am not a big Jurassic Park guy. I really liked the first one. Right, the first
I
one
mean,
came out,
the first right. It's just
the
a
first
good
one
movie.
is awesome. It has great replay value. Even to this day, watching it, it's still like it's still a really well done, a well executed movie. The dinosaurs still look really good because they used awesome animatronics and it wasn't just really bad CG. But like two, I don't remember much of two. When Jeff Goldblum showed up, I don't really remember three. You said four. What's four? I don't know four.
I mean, I know maybe they didn't even make a 4, and I'm just like assuming they made
But
4. So
I
like,
know of the Chris Pratt ones because let's go watch a dinosaur movie in
yeah,
theaters,
yeah.
right? So,
We're in the
but
same
like
boat. We both saw Jurassic World
though,
because it was like the new thing, right? Yeah,
yeah,
and
exactly, because it's like, oh, dinosaurs are back in theaters. Let's go see what's up, right? And then Chris Pratt was the hot commodity and stuff like that. So it's like, oh, let's go support Chris Pratt and his fucking nonsense.
yeah.
So we went to theaters, and honestly, don't aren't those movies don't strike a chord. Like they're not really memorable. They all kind of meld together. There's three of them. I know there's Jurassic World was the first one,
Yeah,
right?
Jurassic World, and then there's another one, and then
And then
there's a
there's
third
Dominion
one.
is the third one, right?
Yes. So
But
I know
and
there's a whole trilogy of them.
and then there's a second one in the middle. I
Yes.
forget the name of the second one, but the second one is where they are auctioning off dinosaur species. Or is that
Yeah,
the first one?
see, this is how little. I'm sorry, Jurassic Park, but this is how little we care.
And
And I'm
there's always
sorry.
kids involved. Like, why are we bringing children into this island that
Yeah, like
just they're gonna die?
I'm sorry, buddies at home who might like be loving Jurassic Park and like are hoping to like get our real deep insight into it.
Well,
It's
it
just
is. This is
yeah,
our real deep insight into
yeah. It's
Jurassic
just like,
Park.
yo, we just I personally just don't feel it. Like
The
that first one,
thing, Tex,
was good. That because it's a good movie,
yeah.
but it never once was like a franchise to me. It never was like, oh, I can't wait for the part 2. Like I was
Yeah,
never
agree.
eagerly
Yeah.
like I remember seeing the first one on VHS at home. Like it was definitely like it was a rental kind of movie.
Dude, I saw it in theaters, man.
Yeah,
Like
no,
I saw it in theaters. Like I was part of that crowd where it was me, my brother's friend from school, I think 4th or 5th grade, and his mom took us, right? And we went to the theater. We waited online. It was a whole thing. You got to wait online. All this stuff was packed. It looked great on the screen, but like you said, like the first one, like great, awesome, bravo, cinema, good shit, right? But
yeah,
then like I was never hyped or like excited for a sequel. I'm like, okay, cool, because the first one kind of did it all. It kind of went the full spectrum of the dinosaur
yes,
kind of
you're
gamut,
right.
right? Like, so
Yeah,
like you get your T-Rex, spots, and you get your raptors, and you get your nice herbivores and stuff like that that'll kind of help you out and shit. And then you get your evil humans as always. But like, I was never really like, oh man, I can't wait to see more fucking dinosaurs, but this one though, the only thing I gotta say about Rebirth, if we do have to say something positive actually about this movie that hasn't even come out yet, but the only thing is that the story looks a little intriguing because now they're going back to the original island of where the first one took place, and they
Right.
have to extract DNA or something or other. That's what they're
You
doing
have to
there.
get the fossilized amber. I actually don't know if that's the thing. Like, just yeah,
No, it's something
it'd
about
be
like
hilarious
extracting
if it.
like DNA from 3 different kinds of species or some shit like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, they're gonna make
Yeah.
another super dinosaur. That's what it seems like to me.
That's what they always
Which
do.
is what they do.
They
Yeah,
always want to
I
mutate the
remember.
dinosaurs, and I'm like,
I
why are
remember.
you doing that already?
Yeah,
You don't have to.
it
They're already mutated.
that was the whole thing in like Jurassic World, was that they made like, it was like the Super Rex or something. I think they literally called it the Super Rex. I don't know. I might just be
Yes.
throwing out names, but it was like, yeah, it was like super something. But
Oh, that's the one that at the end went crazy in like the shopping center in the park,
yes,
right, or something, and
yes,
destroyed everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was like the Super T-Rex, because Chris Pratt had to like wrangle up the
The
raptors to like
Raptors,
go,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
and then the
that's right.
T-Rex
That
would
was the
come.
poster, right? He had to, like,
Yes.
get the Raptors in his little motorcycle, and then he had to,
Yeah,
like,
because
take them to fight him,
yes,
right?
yeah, because his whole like hands holding out meme, of like, yeah,
Yes.
like
He's
this
like,
is
"Stop. Like,
this is
stop."
why we remember Jurassic World, and
And the
so
blue Raptor, blue. That's all I remember too,
yeah,
blue.
but that's the thing. It's like, they're all kind of just, I don't know. It's never been a franchise that appealed to me in that way. But hey, I'll do my research. I will say this to the buddies here. I will do my research ahead of
Oh,
Rebirth. I'll be ready, and we'll see how that works out.
you know what though too, Tess? Like, what I am happy about is that Scarlett Johansson is not in this damsel in distress kind of role. She's legit like this like Lara Croft person who's taking these people into this island. Like she's the
I
one
mean,
trying to keep them safe, which is pretty cool. I dig
as
that for
far
her.
as we know, so this
She's
could be
probably the
just.
evil one, right?
I mean, if there's anyone who's going to pull a third act turn, it would be her, right?
She is
So that,
talented. So she is the
yeah.
one getting paid all the big bucks on that
I mean, she's on the
cast.
she's on the marquee. You know what I mean? So it's like, well, all right, we'll see
She
where
probably signed
this
on for
goes.
3, so who knows?
Oh man, and that's okay. let's let's not get into that, right? Of like, oh man, like Jurassic Park literally is like, yo, let's make trilogies, and it's like, yo, not you don't need to.
Yeah. All
You
right, folks. Coming up next, we got our feature presentation. Stay tuned. And we are back with our feature presentation. And this week we have one for date night, guys. We thought we had one for date night last week for you guys, but we have one for date night this week for you guys for sure. This week we are covering Heart Eyes. It's the new Valentine Day slasher movie. I forget which studio. Blumhouse, is it?
No, I
No,
don't think so.
I
No,
forget.
I think it's like this entire. Okay,
Is
I'll
it
look it up.
Lionsgate?
Yeah,
Anyways,
yeah.
but Heart Eyes, it just released last week, and it was honestly for me, you guys know how we do it here. We have our rating scale here. There's a stay away from it, which is pretty self-explanatory. You stay away from this thing at all costs. There is a wait for it, which is you pay for it on either a trial on streaming when it comes out, or you wait for it on streaming. And there's pay for it, where you actually go to the theater, you pay for a ticket, and you enjoy the hell out of this movie. And I think I will say this movie is a legit pay for it. I really had fun with this movie. I enjoyed um not from front to end, from front to back, I should say, because it had its issues. So, but we'll get to that a little later. But I really enjoy the overall execution of this movie. We got a bunch of awesome kills that we're gonna cover later. It looked really cool. That Heart Eyes mask is absolutely awesome. I really love the look of that thing, and I'm very jealous of not having thought about it myself. And but that Hard Eyes, it's gonna be a big merch come Halloween. Tex, what are your thoughts about Hard Eyes?
So okay, so it's Screen Gems, so it's a Sony one, and I
Oh,
think,
Sony. Wow.
yeah, Screen Gems, which is kind of puts you in the mindset of the whole thing. So like before getting into any kind of spoiler territories or anything, I do agree with Arturo. It's on our scale of pay for it, wait for it, or stay away from it, which is pay for it, which is go immediately and go check it out. Go, buy your tickets, go see it in theaters. Wait for it. You can wait for it to stream. You'll be fine. Wait for it to when you can watch it at your convenience, and you'll be fine. And stay away from it. Self-explanatory, right? I'm in the. I'm gonna go and say pay for it. Like, I'm more like it's kind of leaning more towards like wait for it. I think you'll be fine, But honestly, like, I think there's something here that you should check out at theaters anyway. Just in terms of like, just as we said with Companion in our last session, and just as we've said with original horror movies in general. Yeah, kind of go support it. It's like we haven't had like an original slasher in a long time. How long
Yeah.
has it been, Arturo? Like
It's
legit, because we've had franchises, and we've had reboots, and we've had
I mean, like, if you count In a Violent Nature,
we don't. We
I
don't on
mean,
this show. We don't. But I
um,
guess you kind of have to, right?
on
In
paper
that
you
sense.
have to, because the whole thing is about a slasher thing. But
That's a
but
shame. It's a
but
shame
like
that kind of undercuts the argument. But
yeah,
I
but
the a
but
big
again, last good slasher, right?
yeah. So a medium-sized budget slasher movie. Like, when's the last time we had that? And yeah, go see the theaters. And the Screen Gems thing I bring up mainly, it's funny because it kind of puts you in that mindset of like, if you are our age or around Arturo and I's age and saw a bunch of movies in like the 2000s, of like of this same kind of idea, your Screams, your urban legends, your let's see, I think one of them was called Valentine. Like, I
Valentine,
think,
yeah, I
yeah,
was
where it
trying to
was like,
watch that, but like you have to pay for it. I'm not paying for
yeah,
it.
it's one of those that's just kind of lost to time because it's under like a paywall when it should be just like on
Yeah,
Tubi or
Denise
something,
Richards is in it, so it's one of those movies. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like this was the vibe I had during entirety of Hard Eyes. Was like it put me right back into that mindset of like, yeah, this movie would have been made like in like 2005, and it probably would have hit. It would have been one of those ones where like years later I would have been like, oh yeah, Hard Eyes was solid. It was.
Yeah, it's definitely I think you put it best. And I want to credit you for that. It's like an MTV generation kind of horror movie.
Right.
It has that vibe, it has the music in it for that, like, it has the tone in it, it has that youthfulness, that young thing that everyone craved back in the day, all these
Right.
executives that, "Oh, let's get the youth, the kids into this thing." So, it definitely had that, but it executed it in a good way. Because at times you can have that vibe of like a Final Destination movie and completely just like crash out, right? Um,
Right.
this one at least got it together after a while. I did mention that I had concerns, and it was because of that. The tone of this movie is a little wonky for me.
Yeah,
Uh, it
it introduces a lot of characters, and
yeah,
that's the thing. It's like they're not all important. I guess that's what the thing is too. It's like it's building a world around like its central two protagonists, its central couple, and like so you get a lot of like random scenes with characters who have names and who are important for the scene in particular, but
for the
don't
scene,
really,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah, but they don't serve an importance to the rest of the story. They're just there to like help the scene. And then there's a lot of that in terms of like, yeah, there's a lot of like exchange dialogue like that where you're like, okay, and it's mainly for jokes and telling jokes, and like, yeah, this is cool and all, but like Arturo said, it ends up making this murky tone that like it's really hard to kind of get fully invested,
yeah,
which is a shame because it starts off immediately with kills, like, right, like
yeah.
I
So
know one of my big complaints is that it takes forever in some movies to get to the first kill, but here
yeah, we get
waste no
3 right
time.
in the first 5 minutes, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
it starts off, as Tex mentioned, at a very good, pace, a very good level. We get 3 kills off the bat and a very cool, like, a wedding proposal, I'm sorry, not wedding proposal, but a proposal scene kind of situation where this couple's trying to get pictures, and then Hard Eye shows up. So and then the kills aren't just a quick 1, 2, 3. Like they're actually like well, except for the camera guy, but that kill was right on, right, like it was shot well. You can see the entire like stab right through the
Yeah,
camera,
like
which is pretty awesome.
they were creative kills, right?
Yes,
They were
exactly. Yeah,
like,
and then you get the 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 fiance husband guy is getting shot with an arrow, I think, off the bat.
yeah,
And then you get the like a cool little chase between Hard Eyes and one of the victims. And what I really liked too was that Hard Eyes was well lit. The whole movie's well lit.
yeah.
Like it's not hiding anything. And I really like the fact that the mask itself was just very accentuated. Like it's like, hey, we're not hiding this very cool looking design here. Enjoy it. And we really get to enjoy it right off the bat with the cool kills right there off the beginning.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. Like, it wastes no time to get into the kills, so that when it starts to waste time, this is when it's like, okay, this is why the tone gets a little weird, because after that really good opening scene, those really good opening kills, which end in like a really cool climax of like that final kill to close it off, is fun. Like it's a super fun kill, like just to watch happen. You're like, oh yeah, this is a fun idea. And
yeah, agreed.
like I did not expect it to be so brutal early.
Yeah, all right.
Early on, right?
Yeah, because
And
like you didn't expect it to go that far, and it does.
Yeah,
You're like, oh, that's awesome.
And that's the thing. Like this is why we're like, man, it's definitely like it's in that right between space, because like the kills are great, and I really like the idea. The killer himself, Hard Eyes, is great, but then like, and then it sets him up. Like you get cut to like all these news stories of like the Hard Eyes killer. He's went on killing sprees for the last couple of years.
Yeah,
and like it's a big news report thing. They even gave him a nickname. They call him the HEK,
which is like, that was fun. Yeah,
and this is the thing. It's like, this is cool. Like it's a cool way to establish your killer really quickly, because we just saw him in action. Now we get his name. Now we get the fact that he's been doing it for years, and this is a whole thing. Like, and everyone's just aware of this thing, and like he goes from city to city, and it's a cool idea that he kills couples on Valentine's Day, and like, but then it's just weird in like the because not all the news reporters are like great actors, not all of them are like 100% right on the money. So it's
that's another gripe of mine too. Like the quality of that exposition was not the best. It looked really like bad, and I was like, oh, this looks not too great. I'm a little surprised.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because it's a good idea, like in execution, right? Like it just in movie making terms, you're like, yeah, this is a cool way to get your
that's fine.
It's a cool way to establish your character, right?
Absolutely. You know why? Because it's still captivating, because you're like always like hearing new like new bits and pieces of this character, of different kills, of the accomplishments, the accolades of this killer or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's always a fun way to do that, because you don't have to like give other exposition dumps throughout the story. It already established HEK and all that stuff. So
so
I really like
you don't have a character sitting down and be like, this is the Hard Eyes killer. He's been doing this for blah 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 blah.
Yeah, thank you. There's
no mid movie explanation, right?
Yes,
it's just like,
exactly. Cool. It's right there in the beginning. You don't have to really like explain shit until the reveal all the way at the end, right?
So okay. Yeah, so then it gets into the complicatedness of the tone. So once we get past the HEK, we get into the actual story itself. So the story of this couple who, like, they're not a couple. And this whole thing is, like, the main protagonist, she, like, I'm totally blanking on her character name and her actress name.
Allie. Her name is Allie.
Okay, so I've never seen her before and stuff, but
I believe her name is Olivia Holt, based on my review.
She's good here. So kudos to her. Go check out Arturo's review for more detailed explanations of things. But you know, her whole thing is that like she's lonely on Valentine's Day. It's never worked out for her. She meets this guy in a coffee shop, and but like she's also in danger of losing her job because like her big advertising thing just didn't work out. It's very violent, and there, you know, it's like blah 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 blah. There's a lot of time spent towards that, but that's the story, and that's the thing that's what takes like some adjusting. It's like because the killer himself is not the story. The story is Allie and Jay, you know, meeting and slowly becoming like a thing over the course of the movie. This is like developing their romance because they fake being a couple, you know, to like, you know, get back at her ex-boyfriend.
I
And
remember,
so
like,
that
they first met because Jay was the one that that Allie's boss called to
yes,
like, you know, fix her ad campaign.
yeah, and
Allie was responsible for
yeah,
kind of
he was
fucking up. Yeah.
she was like basically worried he was going to take her job. This is whole other level to that thing. Then they fake being a couple, and this, you know, and this gets them targeted by the hard eyes killer. And so the whole time is they're being attacked, but also coming together as a couple because they actually like, you know, they're fighting for each other. But then Allie ditches him at one point, and it gets to this whole little gray area. And that's the movie, is like the two of them trying to survive the hard eyes killer while HEK kind of, you know, slaughters everybody in between. And like, and in terms of concept, I really like that. It just, you know, for the holiday itself, right? For the Valentine's Day holiday,
Yeah,
it's a good concept.
yeah, it's nice, it's simple, it's relatable, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You have these couples like, oh shit, imagine like, you know, them, you know, like, and then you can put audiences in situations. It's a very relatable kind of story. You're like, oh, imagine if there's somebody coming after us and blah 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 blah, all that shit.
right.
I do like the story. It's very simple. It's easy to write around it too. In terms of like the like all the supporting characters you mentioned before,
Yeah,
that
and you
that
know,
get dropped throughout the story to progress it just going forward. You know,
and
um,
so the MTV generation stuff kicks in when it comes into like the humor part of it, right? Because like there's a part where they're like emotionally confessing all their stuff to one another, and all the while you can hear people like doing it in the background, and
yeah,
like that's the whole scene, right? And like it's this big emotional moment for them, but like the whole time it's played for jokes because it's like you hear that stuff in the background. But
yeah,
then it gets paid off with the hard ice killer actually doing his thing, and so that's the thing. It's like for as many jokes, you know, some of them didn't land, some of them did. Some of them I really laughed at. Like there was one where, you know, there was a play on the slasher movie trope of like the blanket over the victim with the ambulance thing. And then when they get called away, the EMT's like, "Oh, well, I actually need it back." They kind of just drive away. You know, it's a funny joke. I'm like, "Yeah, that's a really good
yeah.
call out." You
Yeah,
know,
me too.
and
I was like, ha, because it's true that she
yeah,
needs a blanket back.
and then there's a swerve that it's going to end as like a romantic comedy, which I kind of hoped it would because it was kind of that tone where I'm
Yeah,
like, oh, I would have taken like a romantic comedy ending after all the horror, you know what I mean? But I'm glad we got what we got after that. So I don't want to get into that stuff yet because it's full spoiler, full kind of gripe territory there too at the end. But I mean, just before we get into that, last spoiler free stuff. I'm glad there's like a lot of victims, right? There's a high body count.
there's
You
a
know,
high body count here, from start to end.
yeah,
The bodies keep coming through. I wish they would have shown more kills,
right.
maybe, you know, like throughout the course of the day, because like it's just hard to fathom. It's like this one person killing all these people in like one day. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it would have been cool at least to see like a change into like a lead up into Valentine's Day, but it's just like every Valentine's Day, right? I think it is every Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
HGK goes killing. So I do wish the that exposition would have shown like other cool kills, or would have done like a cool little montage of HGK
Yeah.
throughout the years,
Yeah.
right?
Instead we got like news of those kills, right? It's like,
Yes,
oh,
yeah.
you know, another two victims here, another two victims there, or
Yeah,
whatever.
show
And
me
it's
something
like,
cool, you know what I mean? Like it's
yeah,
like you don't even have to show me like like a whole sequence of the kill. Just show me the aftermath. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just show me what, like, you know, what he left at the scene, pretty much.
Right.
But
And
yeah.
Yeah, and so that's the thing, and that's the last of the spoiler-free stuff. We kind of have to get into the ending because that's where like the divisiveness kind of comes in. That's where it gets real. Like you either gonna really like it or you're not gonna like it at all. So spoilers from here on out. So in the finale, it turns out it's not gonna have a romantic comedy ending. She goes to the airport with the intention of finding Jay before he like flies away, but he never made it there. That turns out the hard ice killer was actually Jordana Brewster's cop the whole time. And there's a joke about how she and Devon Sawa's characters are named Hobbs and Shaw.
Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah. Which is a funny joke. I'm like,
I
all
thought
right.
so too. I was like, oh, nobody gets it. I mean,
Yeah, I'm like, I'll take it. Yeah.
I'll take it. I'll take the Hobbs and Shaw joke, man.
Yeah, and so she has been working together with like some other dude who's revealed when he shows up, he's like, oh, I'm David, the IT guy.
The IT guy. And
I'm like, Allie was like, yeah, who?
Who?
Which is another good joke because it's like, yeah, because he didn't really have an impact on the story, but the whole point is she's been working with two other people to like kill couples because that's what they like, that's what they enjoy, that's their, that's the thing they get off on. And so the explanation of that is where it gets really hokey. It's the slasher explaining their motive, and this is the make or break moment of
it's
like slasher movies. Yeah, and it's like this is where we're like, oh right, yeah, this is a little too far. And it gets a little too goofy. Yeah,
it was honestly just putting it out there, peek under the sheet, kind of forgot what the motive was. Because like it was just so talky, right?
Yeah.
That like even in the script, they were like, okay, we have a lot of talking. Let's do some fucking action. So
yeah,
they talk for a little bit, and then it completely gets into this very cool action sequence where they have to kind of just fight it out. And that kind of erases a little bit of that like very kind of shaky motive stuff where I was like, okay, let's just get to the final boss shit,
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like the final death is super satisfying. Like when you get to it, right?
Very.
It's like, and it's super well done in the terms of like, man, you're really confident in your practical effects because it's like, so they push her into like a sword statue, and it goes through her neck, and like she's like kind of going backward on the sword while she's trying to like pull herself out of it. But then like you see her like you see the muscles like tear apart little by little,
the viscera and stuff stretching from the neck as it gets pulled apart from the body, and then you see the body just drop, and then the head just drop apart from the body. It was very gnarly because they just kind of focused on there.
Yeah, it zooms in on it basically, right? It's like,
it stays there for a while, and like, it wants the audience to see that whole process happening, and I think that's ballsy and bold and a very good job because it looked great. It kind of erased that whole like numbing explanation of their motive too.
And see, that's the thing. That's the whole thing about Hard Eyes too, because like for all the stuff in the middle that might be an issue, like the kills that we get on screen are pretty good. Like they, it's good practical effects. It's good. Like they're fun. I like that like. I think HEK I don't have any problems with because in concept and visuals, it's very well done.
It's awesome. I love it.
At one point, they turn the eyes on, and it's like these red lights.
And it's cool because they're like night vision goggles for him. Which is so practical. And I'm like, that makes fucking sense if you want to kill at night, right?
Yes.
You want to look cool while doing your job properly,
Yeah,
Safety first.
And like there's extra attention to detail in the fact that like he's killing people with crossbows the whole time, which is like a little Cupid thing, right? It's like Cupid arrows. It's like, it's very like it's very anti-Thanksgiving in that, you know, we watch Thanksgiving. One of the things was like, yo, you don't have enough Thanksgiving related kills. But in here, yeah, it's very like Valentine's Day-esque. Like, it's all pumped up, right?
Yeah,
And
even his
so
knives have the heart carved into them and stuff like that.
yeah,
So like, you know, like he's like a superhero, you know, he has hearts everywhere, like a wrestler. His whole attire has to have hearts everywhere, you know?
yeah, it's very like there's a lot of good attention to detail when it comes to like making the killer himself. And the movie, you know, some of the scenes won't hit all the way, but that's the thing. Like, honestly, like, is this? It's
You know what
good.
though?
Yeah,
It's not really meant to be that deep either, you know? Like this is
yeah.
why they
It's
throw
not taking
you
itself
like
seriously. Yeah,
the most important thing of the movie is that it throws you all these awesome different kills too, you know? Like it
yeah,
doesn't bore you with just, you know, a gunshot or here or there, you know, or a stab here or there. There's like all these gnarly looking kills. There's a massacre pretty much at the end of the movie, you know,
yes,
which is, you know, very much appreciated. And it was fun. Honestly, it was
yeah.
fun.
The
Um,
police station scene was
yes,
fun
the police
because
station,
like
yeah, exactly.
because
Yep,
Jay was handcuffed, you know,
yep.
and I really like the idea of like having to fight back so while you're handcuffed to the thing. And like, yeah, it's a whole like there's a lot of fun ideas in here, right? Like
Yeah.
fun slasher movie ideas. And
Yes, agreed,
so just
agreed.
kind of, yeah, like honestly, just go watch it. Like go watch and enjoy a slasher movie,
Yeah,
you know,
like,
and then
it was
when
really
yeah,
cool too, cause like, this could have gone south, you know, pretty much quickly. Um, uh, the tone issues were a little severe at first, and I'm glad they course corrected, and everything seemed to kinda just right itself a little bit, you know, towards the end in terms of the tone. But what really keeps this thing floating, is the kills and Hard Eyes himself. Like it it just looks good. It's well executed. It's well designed and thought of. You know, it was very
yeah,
it's a very thoughtful design. The mask itself, excuse me, has this like awesome human skin, like leathery look to it. And then, as we mentioned, it has the practical night vision goggles already installed in it, hard ice shaped. Um, it's cool that we don't get much of an explanation of why they chose the mask and the design and all this
yeah,
hard ice stuff, you know?
unnecessary.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
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 I love the fact that this thing can live on probably if they want to, you know, to bring it back to kind of show what the other killings from the other states and the other
yeah.
years, you know. So yeah,
Or just do a new hard ice killer.
a,
That's the thing, right?
a
Yeah,
copycat, right? A hard ice
yeah,
copycat, you know.
yeah. And like it's, you know, everyone knows what this thing looks like already. So it's like, yeah, like it's I wouldn't doubt like a sequel showing off a copycat because like, you know, and that's the thing, like this is something that like why I keep mentioning 2000s because if this would have came out in like 2003, I would have saw it and I would have been like, yo, this movie
Oh,
rules,
dude,
you
people
know.
would have been fucking clapping that shit up, dude.
Yeah,
They're like, "Oh
it
my
would
god, you
have,
see Hard Eyes? You see Hard Eyes?"
yeah, like
You
we would
know?
have
And the
loved
name is
this.
very it's cool. It has a cool title, you know, it's catchy. Hard Eyes,
Yeah,
cool, you know?
it's just
A cool
it's
poster, like,
yeah,
fuck.
it's
I
just
wish they
it's
had some free
fun,
merch, you
dude.
know? Give me some
Yeah,
free, like,
it's
Hard Eye stuff.
I wish there honestly, I wish there were merch because
I
I
know, give
would,
me Hard Eye candies, you know?
yeah, like I would. I don't know if I'd own the mask. That's a little too far, but like I'd own like I'd wear a hard eyes shirt or like a cap or something.
I'd
You
get
know
a
what I
little
mean?
Hard
Like,
Eyes bobblehead doll, dude, you
yeah,
know?
or where's the Funko? You know, like,
Yeah, where the little eyes turn on, you know, too, you know? If you press a
but
button, they glow.
legit, yeah, like hard eyes is meant like definitely like you know you hilariously you know with Art the Clown, right? Like you know they were like, oh, the next horror icon, Art the Clown, but
The
legit
Hard
here's
Eyes.
one right here's
Yep.
one where I'm like, yo, I kind of want like I'll buy like a hard eyes action figure, you know, I'll
Yeah.
get like a
Hard Eyes is another one. Like, and again, like the name just flows off the tongue, you know.
yeah, and then
It
if not, it's HEK, you know, so it's like
yep, HEK.
WWE
And it's
like
cool because it's a character
HBK, you know.
that's can lead to many kills, many interesting kills, many unique kills. Just a whole plethora of
Yeah,
bodies in the
if
way, you know?
if it came out in the 2000s, we'd be at like it'd be Scream right now. We'd be like,
Yeah.
yeah, we'd be reviewing Hard Eyes 8 right now.
They're like, well, folks, another year, another Hard Eyes, you know, right? Oh man. But yeah, folks, go catch Hard Eyes. It's in theaters now. It is a fun time at the movie theater. I think you guys will enjoy it. Get your popcorn, get your soda. And I think even if you choose to watch it at home, I wish they would have offered that, especially if, like as a Valentine's Day thing, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
this
hey,
would have
like
been the perfect
yeah,
like
for one day only, you know,
yeah.
we're gonna put Hard Eyes on streaming or something for
Yeah,
one day
be like
only, you know.
you could have called it like Netflix and Kill or something like that,
I
right?
know,
Like,
right? It would have
yeah.
been perfect marketing. But
Yeah.
yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. Tex also did. You guys heard the reasons why. I think you guys would enjoy it too. It's fun. It really is fun. It takes us back to the early 2000s
Yeah, it's
where
not long
horror
either.
was, yeah, it's not
Yeah.
long at all. It's like about 95 minutes, maybe a little less.
Yeah, which
Yeah,
is perfect. Yeah.
perfect time. And Tex, anything you recommend the buddies out there to see this week? Any
I
cool
mean,
things
no
you've seen lately?
now that we're talking about like holiday kills and stuff, I would say My Bloody Valentine, but
Yeah.
not the OG, because you and I had a conversation, funny enough, around all
Yes.
this stuff, and
Yes.
the remake actually like okay. So just a little context here. Every time I watch the OG, it's the same thing with Arturo. We kind of flip our opinion on it, right? Like, because like sometimes we're like, oh man, yeah, that was great. But then you watch it again, you're like, wait a minute.
That's what happens, though. That's what
Yeah.
happens because, like, you're seeing things with fresh eyes, right? And that was me, right? I decided to watch Bloody Valentine, the original one from '81, and then the one from 2009. And my opinion before was, oh, the OG's better than the remake. But then now I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like I'm not really happy with the original in terms of the character developments and the story in general and the third act. The 2009 version actually, I think, has a cooler story, a better written story, I think, than the original one. It makes a little bit more sense too in terms of how things happen. So yeah, go watch My Bloody Valentine. It is available, I think, on Prime. To watch for those of you who have Prime, go enjoy that. And go enjoy Hard Eyes in the theater, and go enjoy more of the Morgue, folks. This is episode 221 of the Morgue, the official CorpseFeed podcast. Once again, I am Arturo Padilla, the guy behind the face. And with me always is Mr. Nick Valdez. A big shout out goes to Delvirus for all the artwork you've seen in front of you throughout the years. And a big shout out goes to you guys for listening. We have 220 of these episodes for you anywhere you get your podcast streams. Please give us a rating, a comment. We would highly appreciate it. It would help us out a lot. You can also catch these episodes on YouTube. Give a nice subscribe over there on the CorpseFeed website on YouTube. Hit the little bell, like, subscribe, and share. We drop these episodes on YouTube so you guys can also put us on the background while you guys do your thing and enjoy our conversation. And folks, go check out our socials, like, subscribe, and share. Leave us a comment, leave us a message, leave us some ratings. Highly appreciate all that stuff. Have a happy Valentine Day. Be safe for you guys out there. Don't get killed by Hard Eyes, all right, by HEK. I love that abbreviation. Reminds me of HBK. But then also, remember, it's a scary world out there, but we are here to walk you through it.